Good morning, and thank you everybody for joining us for the SMGDenver, continuing the conversation from our meetup last Friday. And I just, before we get started, I just want to let you all know I'm sitting in a Burger King, so if there's a lot of noise, and I will be muting myself a lot because I'm just trying to pick up the best internet signal I can. In the event description, we have links to Gary Pokorn's profile as well as to Tracy Bolsinger's profile. And then I had the nice surprise of having John Harris and Neal Lundquist join us this morning for part of the conversation. And I also have Heather Kraafter here, who's really running the control panel because she has a steadier and stronger internet connection this morning. So thank you all for being here, and thank you, Heather, for helping out. I really appreciate the support on this. And then real quickly, we want to say good morning to Richard Oppenheim, Catherine Albert, Sheila Strover. Sheila, you're wonderful. Remember, Sheila was on our panel last week and is from the UK. And it's been great to have her as part of an ad hoc member of our community. I don't know if Sandra's with us yet, but I'm expecting to see her soon as well. So anyway, to get us started, I'll ask each of our panelists to introduce themselves. Again, Gary and Tracy have a link in the event's description, so you can check their resumes, but I'll ask them to just give us a quick introduction about who they are and what they do, and then to tell us today what is their favorite Red Rocks memory. Again, we're broadcasting from Denver, Colorado, or the Denver area, and Red Rocks is something that we're pretty proud of. So if you could tell us about your favorite Red Rocks memory. And I'm going to start with you, Gary, because you're an old hand at this.
Thank you, Debbie. Good morning, everybody. My name is Gary Pokorn. I am the token sales professional in the SMGDenver group, which is comprised primarily of marketing professionals and business owners, I believe. I am a sales specialist, and I help my clients increase their top-line revenue. I'm based in Littleton, Colorado, and Debbie, my favorite Red Rock story is attending the Moody Blues concert where they were joined by the Denver Orchestra, which was quite a summer event a few years ago. And I'm happy to join the group this morning for the first half of the meeting. I need to leave at the top of the hour, but thank you for inviting me to join.
Thanks, Gary, for reminding me that you have to leave at 8. We'll make sure that that we get your perspective before you have to go. John, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is John Harris. I'm electronic marketing specialist with Reed Art and Imaging. We're a full-service digital imaging facility specializing in fine art reproductions and commercial point of purchase. And my favorite Red Rocks experience probably goes back to, well, I won't mention the year. That'll give away my age. I think I was 16, and my sister had bought me a concert ticket to go to Red Rocks for the first time. And I won't say who it was because that in itself was a little embarrassing. But the memory was really more about being able to spend a special day, with my sister and just get out and have a good time. And I have to tell you, I've been in love with Red Rocks since I was a kid, and less about as it is a concert venue, but it's just so scenic and peaceful and beautiful and just a lovely space to just go up and hang out, meditate a little bit. So. And I'm glad to be here this morning, and I'm really looking forward to hearing from the rest of the panel. And take it away. I'm done.
Okay, great. Thank you for that, John. You're right. Peaceful. That's what I think of when I think of Red Rocks. Tracy, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Sure. I'm Tracy Bolsinger. I own Center for Advanced Skincare here in Littleton. Or actually, I'm in Greenwood Village. I live in Littleton. We specialize in disorders for the skin and taking care of hormonal issues that show up on the face as well. Here's my geek side. The only time I've been to Red Rocks is either a CrossFit, exercise, hiking, or graduation. So I don't have a whole lot of other memories than that for the Red Rocks, which makes it bad since I basically have lived here quite a long time. So
Okay, you know what, Tracy, I'm kind of there with you too. I've been there for some of the unconventional events as opposed to usual concerts. But anyways, let's move on to Neal. And Neal's video camera, again, is fighting with him, so we just have his avatar picture to look at. But Neal, introduce yourself, please.
My name's Neal Lundquist. I'm with SG Associates. We do merchant services and POS systems. I've been in Denver since about 1953. I will age myself, John. And my favorite Red Rocks experience was going up there Christmas morning, taking a boombox up with the family and playing Fanfare for the Common Man and watching the sun come up Christmas morning. Very cold, but extremely worthwhile.
That sounds like a fabulous memory, and yeah, you know what, in case anyone who's watching doesn't know what Red Rocks is, it's a natural amphitheater surrounded by guests, Red Rocks, and it's the acoustics are fabulous, and like Tracy said, it's often used for exercise because, I don't know, Tracy, how many stairs are there?
Oh, way too many.
There's a lot of stairs, so it's a great place to exercise. And and then Catherine Alberts, B-52s with a bunch of coworkers. I can only imagine. We're not going to ask Catherine just how that all went down because it can get kind of out of hand. My favorite is it'll be 30 years ago in August that I went to the Pretenders concert, and it was right after I moved here to Colorado, and it was my first experience. I still have on my bucket list to do sunrise service on Easter morning. I have not yet dragged myself out to do that, but I know that that's something that is, you know, kind of a Denver thing to do. So maybe I'll get to it this year. Okay, let's get down to the actual business of today. We're continuing the conversation from SMGDenver. And you know what? Before I do that, how rude of me. We do have, I mentioned Heather Kraafter is here, and she got up really, really early. Heather, why don't you just give us a quick introduction? I know you very well, but the rest of the folks might not.
That's funny that you say that. I was really hoping you weren't going to call on me, but that's fine. I'll say hi. I am a crafter, as you can see. I make pretty stuff, and thanks to Debbie, I get to do it quite easily through Hangouts on Air because she's my behind-the-scenes woman. So that's who I am.
Thanks, Heather. And yeah, and just in a few hours after this show, I will be over at the library here in Eagle, Colorado, and doing the green room and the behind-the-scenes stuff for her show. So, John Mayer, Tara, it's so nice for you to join us. Tara is new, I believe, on our Hangout. And do you have that blue box right now, Heather? That comment?
Yes. Yes, I do.
Thank you. Okay, yeah, I can't tell from here, but good morning, Tara. And she, John Mayer, so she's younger than me. I have not seen John Mayer ever, and but that I'm sure was a cool concert too. So, okay, and again, back to business. We do eventually have to get to that. So we're talking about our SMG, our social marketing group that meets in Denver the third Friday. And last Friday, the third Friday of every month, last Friday we were talking about customer retention, specifically about how to use social media for customer retention. And again, I'm going to start out with Gary because he has to leave in about 20 minutes. And I think, Gary, you know, we had talked about several things on Friday, including the sales funnel, which made me think of you because you know the sales funnel more than anybody because you're a sales professional. Can you comment on that or anything else that caught your eye when we discussed customer retention on Friday?
Well, I'm always happy to share my opinions on things, so thank you for asking. Let me just preface by positioning my point of view. I've been a sales professional. This is my fourth decade, and I'm still trying to figure things out. So I'll just preface my opinions with the colloquialism. What do I know? I've been trying to study how buyers buy throughout my career, and I think there's consensus among our entire group that the way buyers buy in the marketplace today is different than how they bought last century. So I would comment on the sales funnel first and poke fun at that because I believe the sales funnel is very 1990s, very last century. I'm not sure how applicable the funnel concept is in the marketplace today. However, at our meeting on Friday, the main point was really the customers at the bottom of the funnel, the hole in the funnel representing the lost accounts that businesses feel when a customer leaves them and chooses another alternative or another option. And so I think retaining customers is a very challenging discipline in the marketplace today. And I think it begins with categorizing our customers. I think there's a tendency to approach a one-size-fits-all with our clients, and I don't believe that's how our clients want to be treated. So I always coach my clients to first categorize their customers and really try to identify their top 10 most important clients. Then the second tier, the middle tier that have great value, and then the bottom tier where they really have to make a judgment. How much are they willing to invest from a retention standpoint in that bottom tier versus spending that time and energy attracting new revenue? And that's really a business decision that every client has to make.
So Gary, as you're talking about categories, when I'm thinking about social media, which is something that I use for customer retention, I'm thinking in terms of, now if you're not familiar with social media, this won't make sense, but I'm thinking in terms of lists and tags. So for example, in LinkedIn, I have a tag for a certain tier or a certain level of customer, and I can use that tag when I want to engage with them or check and see what they're talking about. In Twitter, I create lists. I create lists for local people. For my purposes, it's important for me to have local versus non-local customers because the relationships are carried on differently. So I use lists to categorize my clients. I don't use Facebook so much for any business at all. But anyway, Gary, does that sound like, I don't know if you're using social media to retain customers, but does that sound like it aligns with what you're talking about categorizing?
Yes, very much. It's identifying your groupings of customers so that you can tailor your message to those groupings appropriately.
Okay, I've got more questions for you, Gary, and I don't know that I'm going to be able to get back to you before your window of time closes here. But what I do want to do is open this up to John, Neal, Tracy, if you would like to comment on categorizing your clients and how you might use social media for customer retention.
I totally agree with Gary when it comes to customizing your message to specific client types. We've had a lot of discussion about personas on this particular series of HOAs and the importance of those. And I believe there can be some type of a persona applied to your existing customer base as well, those people that you're trying to retain. And those personas might be organized slightly different than the personas that you're attempting to bring in as new business. But I believe a customized communication stream to specific customer types or specific mentalities, if you will, so sociographics, can play a big role in that important relationship maintenance, relationship building part of customer retention. And I think that's how we use social media as far as the retention side, is just to maintain existing relationships so that we stay top of mind from the marketing point. But for us as a company, as the individuals, it's really more about the relationship than it is them being a customer. Yes, it affects us if they go off and decide to spend their money with another vendor, but really for us, it's more about the heartfelt relationship. We love to stay in touch with people, whether they're continue to do business with us or not. We develop some deep, sometimes deep and meaningful relationships with our clients, and we just hate to see those go away.
And John, one of the notes that I took during our conversation last Friday was the importance of identifying the emotions that are related to your business and what kind of emotions you want to invoke and appeal to when you're attracting customers as well as when you're retaining. So I think that I hear you saying that relationships are very important to retaining the customers, and so obviously you're probably hitting on particular emotions, and maybe it's just people feeling cared for, which is an emotion in itself. So emotion definitely comes into your customer retention strategy then. Would that be correct?
Yes and no. I think it's a secondary benefit. Our marketing is it doesn't fit the norm of marketing, where you have to set out a specific desire. I'm sorry, I'm struggling with how to phrase this morning. Let me just start from the back end. For us, marketing is more about just being who we are, as opposed to trying to be something that we're not in order to fit a mold that we've created in some kind of strategy. And we have found successfully, I might add, that when we be our authentic selves and we just be the people who we are, then we attract those people who are like-minded to us. And as a result, they're very easy to maintain, but we don't do it because they're easy to maintain. We do it because we enjoy being around these people, right? For us, it's really the relationship that comes into us that is our brand. We haven't built a brand that says we're going to develop relationships. That's just who we are. Our outside reality, what people think of us or what they experience of us, is our inside reality, who we really are. And for me, that's the holy grail, is to get people on the outside to understand what your company really truly is on the inside. And that's your brand. Despite how much marketing and advertising and social media you throw out there, if you're authentic to yourself, you bring those people to you who enjoy being with you, and relationships come very easy. And you get to stay in business because people enjoy doing business with you. And that's been extremely successful for us. So we're kind of an outlier in the marketing side in that we don't market for marketing's sake. We just simply market mostly for the side of living our brand, living who we are, supporting the artists in our community, and just generally having a good time with anybody who comes in the door. So yeah, there's emotional response in that, but it's not an emotional response we try to trigger. It's one that just naturally happens as a result of the relationships that we build.
I'm so glad that you made that distinction, because in my notes I said identify the emotions that are related to your business, and you bring a completely different perspective on that, and I think it's a really important one. So that's rich, and that's why we continue this conversation, so that we can hear more more opinions or more different experiences on the same concept. Tracy, I saw you nodding your head over there, and it sounds like maybe you would like to add something. Why don't you jump in here?
Well, I think the emotion, we do mostly tidbits, little hints here and there that people can do at home, or things that they might not have known that they should be doing, or different health things. So we don't get much engagement, but we do get a lot of people that view it, and we get a lot of the little, oh, like that, or I'll hear about it more when they come in. Hey, I really like that post. Why don't you tell me more about it? Because we deal with a lot more of that personal issue that you're not going to want to broadcast all over social media. And so dealing with that, it definitely plays into that emotion part, because that's where this is something that's affecting these people on a daily basis. And you don't want to have your laundry all out there going, oh, I was having that problem. It's more like when they come in, they're like, you had that thing about the thyroid thing. Hey, let's talk about that a little bit more. What, you think that's something I'm dealing with? And then we'll go over things. So it leads more into, hey, here's what you've got. What are you feeling with it on that aspect? So definitely, I think dealing with the emotion on that is how I play with the social media more so than doing it as, hey, let's get you fully engaged.
Okay,
I'm
Go ahead.
I'm going to jump in here also because I've got to leave soon too. What I hear everybody saying in different ways is that we have to show on social media how our companies, or we are human, our interests outside of just business, rather than posting sterile business posts and doing that on social media. So we really so people get to know us as human beings and what our interests are. And if they have like interests or like concerns, then they're going to come back and relate to us. Anyway, that's what I hear sort of going on and saying. And that's one thing I'm going to work on doing, because I've been posting sterile posts, but I'm going to try and put more of my posts in as me, a human being, me doing fly fishing, me going off to the Audubon Society, me at Project Cure sorting medical supplies, and different things like that, so that people know who I am and I'm just not a business entity.
Okay, you know what, and Neal, it's a great point, and I know that part of this conversation is so that we can each say how we're going to apply what we're learning. And you and I spoke briefly after our meetup last Friday, and you mentioned this. You mentioned that that's what you got out of our conversation on Friday, and that you're going to try to apply some of those techniques. Can you tell us, before you have to leave, can you tell us where we can find you, or at least post it in the comment section of the event page, where we can find you, so we can watch how you're sharing on a more personal level, so that we can get to know you as a person, because I think that would be a fabulous model for all of us, something that we can try in our own strategies. Would you mind doing that?
No, I'll try not to mind. I'm going to, on Facebook, I'm going to be posting friendship sayings, and I'll try and do that every day. And then about once a week on LinkedIn and Google+, also post something about what I'm doing, in addition to the posts that I repost that I find that pertain to credit card processing and your money. So I'll be posting those on there. Like I'm going to the third week of the month is if you come and join us at Project Cure. Be sorting medical supplies, and give something about Project Cure and their website link.
All right, and is your Facebook and LinkedIn, are those posted on the About page of your G+ profile?
I'm not sure. I tried to, but I do have a G+ profile. I do have a LinkedIn profile, and I have a Facebook page. But Facebook is more family and more of that stuff, more friends than the other two.
Right. Okay. But do you have then your LinkedIn at least linked to your About page on your G+, so that we can find you?
I don't know. I will check on that and get that done today.
Okay. I'm a bit of a taskmaster when it comes to making sure people are connected, because when I attend HOAs, the first thing I do is I go look at a person's About page. Usually I'm live tweeting during a lot of my HOAs that I'm listening in on. And if they don't have their Twitter handle there, for example, then I have to go search for it, and it distracts me, it takes me away from the HOA. But so anyways, I always tell people, whether it's Meetup or LinkedIn, all of those should be cross-posted. All of your connecting points should be posted everywhere you go. When you go to your YouTube channel, for example, your banner should have links to all your other social sites. So anyways, I'll stay on you about that, Neal. If you don't mind. Okay, and I want to bring up too. Okay.
Because I've got something I can on you about too that you said you would do, but I'm not going to bring it up here.
Oh, you should feel free. You can hold me accountable.
Okay, you said you were going to email me a calendar to help me organize all the posts.
A content calendar. You know what? Actually, it's called an editorial calendar. Heather, you and I have talked a little bit about editorial calendars because they're so important. Okay, I'm making a note right now, and I'm going to put a link to that editorial calendar. I think I've got it in a blog post. Editorial calendar. I'll tag you in the comment section, Neal. Editorial calendar. I'm writing it down, plus Neal, and I'll put it in the comment section, and then I'll also email it to you, Neal. So yes, you're right. An editorial calendar is something that I use to make sure that I stay with my key messages when I'm blogging or tweeting or whatever, and that helps me stay on course. So I'll get that to you. I wanted to bring up, sure. And please don't ever hesitate to hold me accountable. That's what we're here for. I'd like to bring up this comment from Catherine Albert, and if you wouldn't mind blue boxing that, Heather, I'm sure you're on it already. She's got a link there for 9 customer retention strategies, and I'm kind of dying to get at those and see what those are all about. So, Catherine, thanks for putting that up, and I just wanted to make sure everyone knew that those were down in the comments section on the event page. So, okay. All right, and I know we're down to 4 minutes before Gary has to leave. Gary, I do just want to kind of corner you again on this. As you are making this really great effort to figure out how your customers buy, do you see training programs for salespeople incorporating social media as a way to retain customers?
Well, I would say the short answer to that is yes. I mean, social media is all the rage. And so I think salespeople and marketing people, I think the sales and marketing professions continue to blend in the eye of the customer. And so, you know, as I mentioned at the beginning of today's meeting, what I do with my clients is the first thing I do is I categorize them. The nice thing about being a sales professional is I don't have that many clients where I have to worry about tremendous levels of automation. I can still pick up the phone and call them. And so I coach my clients to do that, and to do that on a regular basis, whatever they define as regular. For their most important clients, I recommend a quarterly account review. For the mid-tier, I recommend the semi-annual account review, and for everybody else, I recommend an annual account review. And then an account review has a very certain structure to it that is really focused on the customer's circumstance and less on the vendor's product and services, if you will. But as it relates to social media, I think the tendency is to rely on the electronic messaging versus the live interaction. And I think that's a mistake. I think most clients would prefer live interaction versus electronic messaging. And so it tends to be the bane of a sales professional, in my opinion, because it's a crutch that can be used to avoid the challenge of getting through to a customer for a live interaction. So although I do use social media, I'd use it backwards, I guess, from the way that the SMG group promotes it. If I understand it correctly, the SMG group as a macro seems to promote social media as a way to let the marketplace get to know who I am, and then as they get to know who I am, they will transact with me. And I do it just the opposite. I pursue my marketplace for transacting business, and then they get to know who I am after they transact business with me. So I don't know if that's right or wrong. It's just my quirky way of looking at it, but that's how I do it.
You know what, Gary, I don't think there's any wrong way to do it, is what I'm finding out, is that we are all figuring out how to use social media in a way that works best for us, depending on what our objectives are and who our customers are. So I don't think there's a wrong way of doing it. And you're right, in our SMG, that's a social marketing group, we focus on marketing a lot. And traditionally, marketing is broadcasting a message. And I think that it often comes across that social media can be used for broadcasting, and that I think that is it gets a lot of airtime in our social media group, social marketing group discussions. But I think that as a group, we're discovering that broadcasting is one thing you can do. It's not the most effective use of social media, in my opinion. But again, we all use it a little differently. So, Gary, I love the fact that you can join us. I know it's 8 o'clock right now and you have to leave, but I love the fact that you can join us because we do need to hear the sales perspective, and it's really fun to watch how you're incorporating this into your industry, which is changing just as quickly as everybody else who uses technology to relate to their customers. So With that, Gary, I know that you're gonna have to click off at any moment. So thank you very much for being here. Appreciate you joining us again on our panel this morning.
My pleasure. Have a great rest of your day, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Debbie, done.
Yes. Excuse me?
The links are done.
The links are done. Look at that.
Thank you.
You're.
And I'm going to log off also.
All right, Neal. Thank you so much for being part of this. We really appreciate it. I'll talk to you later. Okay.
Okay. Be safe, everybody.
All right. Bye-bye. Okay. So I'm seeing that I have a big sunburst behind me. Like again, I'm sitting in a Burger King, so I'm trying to make this work as best as I can. Okay. So we're hitting on some really good stuff. Tracy, you talked about a different way of using social media to provoke conversations that will take place offline. You let people know that you have information about their skincare or their health, and you're right that people don't necessarily want to hang that laundry out in public, but you make yourself accessible and authoritative on a subject that is important to them through social media. Would that be a correct summation?
Correct, yeah. And just so I'm not looking, we don't have large numbers of anything, but we hit demographics that are all over the place, that a lot of busy people that they'll look at it, they just don't have time to respond, but they're like, oh, hey, I saw that on there. And so I get a lot more talking, which I'd rather build that relationship in person than build that online relationship that is plus or minus to me. I'm still in that area where I don't know how great of a relationship that truly is when it's just online versus when you get them in and you're able to really one-on-one talk with somebody and really see and feel their emotions versus a blurb that they spit out as a sentence. It has no emotion. It doesn't really tell me anything except they responded. But then they come in and they'll say, oh, you posted this, or I think I saw something about that, or this blog you did on, that means more to me than anything else. So I get a lot of email response where people will question more that way as well. But it does provoke behind the scenes, just not on the social media platforms.
So you have a very customized use for social media, but the social media does have a role in that it at least starts those conversations and brings people to you to continue them offline. And so that's the way that you're using it. And John, you also have a brick and mortar establishment. So you've got customers that come in and out, but of course your customers are more likely to want to broadcast or want to display what they do because they're artists and they have something visual and something that they can share and can be proud about it. So, again, using social media depends on your business objectives and certainly the makeup of your clientele. So we can all get extremely creative with how we use social media to retain our customers, attract our customers, and retain them. We're going through the whole sales cycle using social media, but just focusing on customer retention right now. So, Heather, if you want to jump in at any point here, because you also are using social media pretty heavily in retaining your customers. In fact, I wouldn't mind hearing a little bit about how you feel about creating communities as a way of retaining customers.
Oh, that's funny that you say that, because I'm listening to all of this and going, wow. I mean, really, I've had situations where I've had people just like you're saying, where they come to you afterwards and they want to talk to you about it, but they don't necessarily feel, because artists can and John, I'm sure you can answer this too, but artists can sometimes be a little weird about their stuff. Like they don't necessarily want everyone to see it all the time, right?
A little protective of intellectual property and ideas and wow, this is a really cool idea and I'm sure no one's ever done it before. I don't want anybody to see it.
Yeah, it's all mine. It's all mine. It's all mine. Yeah. And or even there's that self-conscious part of things, that are they really going to like it? No, don't show them. You know, there's some of that too. So I do get a lot of the behind the scenes things as well, where people are coming to me privately to say, I liked what you did there, but I'm not yet ready to say anything publicly. So I've seen that. And then I've seen where and I consider them customers because they partake in what I do. They don't necessarily buy from me or anything, but I would still consider them customers because they are participating in what we're doing, and that's what the community comes in. And I've seen people come this year, in fact, I've seen people come to the community that probably never would any other way if it weren't for social media. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun to watch all of those things, but more importantly, it's changed how I react and interact with those people. And it's a great thing that you guys are talking about this, because I'm trying to take notes while I'm trying to also run your show here, Debbie. I did see in the comments something wonderful from Sheila, if I could bring that up.
Oh, please do. Yeah, we'd love to hear from Sheila.
So she says, you know, hi John, many ways on our bulletin board. We have birthday calendars, personal surgery, rehab diaries, and games for people to engage with. And they do not have that. They engage with that if they do not have a specific issue that day. And then she continues that comment by saying, personal post-surgery and rehab diaries keep people involved on the bulletin board for years. Oh, you talk about retention, right? And that was in response to John's question about how are you using social media in a way that leads to customer retention. So
yeah, and you know, Sheila is in the knee surgery business, and she works with surgeons as well as patients, and she has a bulletin board that dates back to, wow, you know what, Sheila, I think it's like 1990 something, and you know, she has a huge following, but is converting them over to using social media. And so she's sort of acclimating her business, like we all are, trying to figure out how social media works best with our businesses. But Sheila's been very, very active in finding the best practices for using social media. And you know, if somebody's having knee surgery, that's the first thing on their mind for about probably 6 or 9 months, you know, while they go through the process. But then after that, there's that rehab, and then after that, they know other people who have had knee surgery, and so they're still interested in it because, you know, knee surgery seems to be a big part of our lives. I know a lot of people. Being a skier, almost all of my friends have had knee surgery, and I probably should have knee surgery on both of my knees at this point. But yeah, so it's even for, you know, medical. I mean, Tracy, you know, you talked about people don't necessarily like to talk about their medical needs or their medical issues online. I think what Sheila has is a very niche. Like I said, it was a bulletin board when it started, so now, you know, it's broadening, but people are probably a little more open about talking about knee surgery because they're looking for some answers. But again, you know, very different audiences.
Can I jump in?
Please do.
You know, I think this speaks directly to the communities, you know, that you had asked Heather to jump in on, in that a bulletin board, it can be a rant fest in some cases, but it can also be a deep, meaningful community for individuals. And what Sheila has done is she is using the bulletin boards to create a community. And if we kind of reverse engineer her success in this, we can see that this is not uncommon in the medical trauma, medical surgery, or I don't know how to phrase it, but in that mindset where people are going through this medical change in their lives, and sometimes it's an extreme change, and so it's causing a big shift. So they're looking for support. So they reach out sometimes to online communities, perhaps because many of these people with medical conditions are stuck in their homes or stuck in a hospital room, and they're looking for some type of social interaction. So if we look at this from the reverse side, this is an excellent example of looking for what your audience or how your audience is using social media and then work around that. Right? Many companies jump into social media and go, well, I'm going to put these messages out and I'm going to put those messages out and people are going to come to me in droves. Well, that's not really the way it works. We have to look at our target audience and look at how they're using social media. These are the people you're going to speak to, and if you're not presenting your social media message in a way and in the places that these people are going and these people are expecting it to be, then your message is not going to be seen. Right? So we need to look at the audience first, just like in other aspect of business. Find out what your audience needs and wants are, and you have to meet them. You have to go to where they are. Don't expect them to come to where you are. That's just not going to happen, right? So, so Sheila's bulletin board is a really good example of how effective that mindset can work. If we know that people in our marketplace are looking for social interaction, they're looking for communities, they're looking for support, they're looking for places that they can go to research their condition and get help with that, that's the message we need to deliver, and that expresses, dictates the vehicle by which we deliver that message. So find out what your needs of your audience is first, and then speak to that. I think that follows for retention too, in that once you've put that in place, then customers that you already have are going to use that as a resource. So you have a benefit here not only for new business, but for maintaining old business. I'm sorry I jumped in there. I think Heather had something wonderful to add to that.
Well, I was just really excited about what you said there, because you had said something that at first I was like, I don't know, John, but when you said, you know, you've got to go to them where they're using it, but then you went to what Sheila's doing with the bulletin boards, and my mind kind of switched a little bit, because the way that I've created the community for what I do is I've brought people to one location, which is a lot like what Sheila has done with the bulletin board. You create a space, a safe space for them to have an outlet for whatever it is that they are trying to accomplish, whatever that goal is for you. It could work that way for you as well, Tracy, that you could also have a place, a safe place for people to commune, where they could talk about those things that in public are not so excited about talking about, but and you could have this place that they all come to. So it's sort of the opposite of what you were starting to say there, John, but I understand where you're coming from, because if you don't find out what they need, then you can't create the space for them to come and congregate in. So I just wanted to add that, because I thought that was pretty exciting.
Yeah, build it and they will come, right?
Right.
As long as it fits their needs, right? As long as they want to play baseball, you know,
or a cornfield
and they don't want to play baseball, they're not going to show up, right? So, yeah, you know, build it and they will come, I think, is a good approach. But yeah, with direction, with direction and intent.
Direction. And you know what? I know that when I first started in social media, and even now when I'm working with clients who are suddenly realizing, oh, I need to start using social media to enhance my reach, you know, to expand my reach. And they think, build it and they will come. And a lot of us did think that. But then we took that and we had to modify it once we found out that that doesn't work so well. Build it to suit their needs, and make it comfortable and welcoming, and they will not only come, but they'll stay, you know. And so it's a little bit, it takes more effort than just build it and they will come. That definitely does not work. But when you're building it, if you're building it with some very specific intention, because you know, again, John, you and I have talked ad nauseum about persona. You know specifically what is going to appeal to the customer that is your target customer. And I hate that word target, so I'm going to try and get that out of but your desired or your optimal customer. And you want to build it for them, you know. So that's again, social media can be so customized for our own needs, and sometimes we have too many options and we get overwhelmed with it. And so I'm going to go back to my mantra, and Heather helped me actually refine my mantra a little bit yesterday. You start by framing, And I think that that's a lot of our persona talk frame, by creating a general outline of who you're talking to, where you want to go, what you want them to do, etc. frame, and then focus on it. Focus and figure out how you can best support that frame or be supported by that frame, and then follow through. And the follow through, I think, is the engagement, the continuing conversations, whether it's putting together a craft show, or Tracy, I know you're talking about using HOAs to do some specific demonstrations for the things that you do there in your practice, and then you're completely following through, focusing and following through. And then in a conversation Heather and I got involved in yesterday, we're going to add the fourth F, and that's remain fluid. Continue listening to ideas from other people who are using social media, such as on this conversation, or listen to your customers or your potential customers or your competition, and be fluid. But if you've got a general framework, at least that will keep you anchored, and not in a negative way, but keep you focused. Again, I'll go to focusing. The frame helps you to focus and helps you to follow through, but you do need to be fluid, because this technology is changing every single day, and we're learning. None of us are experts at any of this. As much as we talk about social media together, none of us are ever going to be experts at this, and so we have to remain fluid so that we can continue to grow.
Right. We can only speak from our personal experience, and fluidity, I think, is a willingness. It's a willingness to move. And you mentioned listening. Listening is so important, because if you listen and you're open to change, those two things together put you in a position to meet the customer's needs. Right? If you're not open to change, then you can listen all day long, and regardless of what your customer tells you they need, you're not going to shift there. If you're open to change but you don't listen, then you don't know where to go. You're always scrambling. Right? Heather had a really good example when she's talked about safety, and she brought that up many, many times. So we know that's important to her. It's important for her consumers. I'll use the word consumers, because people who are consuming her content, whether they're customers or not, it's important for her, and she knows as an artist how much it hurts when somebody calls your baby ugly. Right? So you want that safety. So knowing that and hearing that, if I were doing something for Heather in a way that maybe I was managing or creating her forum or bulletin board or her social media, I would try to create a beginner's community, right? And I would make sure that any moderators in that community were supportive and nurturing and understanding and helpful in their criticism and their critiquing. Right? Rather than somebody coming in and potentially having their fear realized because somebody assaulted them for the work they did. Right? We don't want to play into the fear. We want to play into their need or provide their needs. So, so you listen. These people are afraid. I'm not ready to share. Oh, well, let's create an environment where it's safe for you to share. Right? So I think she did a very good job of framing that. She looked at the beginner, and she listened to their needs, and then she creates a space around that to fill their needs.
And I'm just going to struggle to find the unmute button for a second there. John, you know what? You have such a wonderful way of, kind of tying it up and putting a bow on things. And I'm so glad that these sessions are recorded. As you know, I always follow up within 24 hours or so and re-watch the entire HOA, and I place timestamps so that people can quickly go to these pearls of wisdom that inevitably come out during these conversations. So in the next 24 hours, watch for my post on that. We're in our last 10 minutes, and I'm going to ask each of you to either state, well, you can do either in both, and or a takeaway that you hope folks got from today's conversation about customer retention, as well as a call to action. If you have a site you want us to visit, or if you want us to do something, let us know what your call to action is. Now, I'm putting you on deck with that, and give you a minute to think about it. And in order to do that, I'll start. And I want to thank everybody who's here leaving comments. and I will get back to the comments as soon as I get myself repositioned to another place with strong internet within the next couple hours. And then I also want to mention, most of you know that I am completely enamored with doing HOAs. That's how we got this group together. We kind of created our community so that we could all get comfortable doing HOAs. And I'm a member of Ronnie Bintzer's Hangout Mastery group. Ronnie has provided us each with an affiliate link to invite people to join. Now, right now, I pay $37 a month to be part of his membership group, and I learn a ton. That price is going to go up on April 1st. It's going to go up to $47 a month. So if you're thinking about getting really good at doing Hangouts and you want to join the Hangout Mastery, as soon as I leave this, I'll put my affiliate link in the comments section. You don't have to use my affiliate link. You can go directly to Ronnie Bintzer and join directly. But if you use my affiliate link, I will also be your personal guide and navigator through the community to give you kind of an entree, introduce you to the smart people. There's a lot of smart people in that community, but my particular ones are, I have some favorites. So anyways, I will do that because I think, again, you've heard me say this before in real life meetups, Hangouts are going to change the way we do business. So if you have a business, you probably will want to learn how to do these really well. Okay, so that should have given you plenty of time, Tracy, to come up with your closing remarks. Is there a particular takeaway or a call to action that you'd like to leave this group with?
I think the takeaway is just to know who you're working with. If you don't know your clients, you're never going to know what they need. You're never really going to get anywhere, regardless if it's social media or just in business in general. You've got to know who you're working with and why you're working with them. And I think that's the biggest takeaway that you can have there. I know from my own personal, I think I'm going to take Heather's advice there and get a couple of the smaller groups together, because I know I can make some private groups where, hey, it is going to be a safer environment for people to share online on something that might be pending on them right away versus waiting until a week or two when they come in to see me. So I think that's something I'm gonna have to take your advice, Heather. Thank you.
And Tracy, I don't know if you realize this, but I spoke with you about a month ago about Heather. Heather is the person who does the HOAs that are not the typical talking heads like we've got going today. We see so many of these talking head things. Heather's show is where she's actually demonstrating the crafting. And I will send you this invitation. In fact, I need to just make this note. Heather's got a show today at noon Mountain Time, our time, that will be firing up. I'll send you an invitation, but she does twice a month. And her HOAs are very personal, and they show a little something different other than these talking heads. So anyways, there you go. You introduce now you've heard Heather's name, now you know her, and you can see she's full of good advice.
Fabulous. That was great.
Great. Okay. And and John, the closing remarks?
Well, I think my takeaway today is to encourage people to meet their clients and their audience where they are. I think that was a really strong point out of today. Is rather than set up social media and set up your channels for yourself, set it up for them. People can see through a sales pitch. You can see through a sales pitch. Whoever you are that's listening to this, I know you can see through a sales pitch. Give your customers and potential customers credit. They can see through it too. And people don't want to be sold. They want to buy. They want to make an informed decision. So put the right kind of content out there that lets them understand that you are the right person to do business with. And put it out there for them. Put good, solid content out there for their behalf, on their behalf. If it's on your behalf, they're going to see right through that, and they're going to know what kind of person and what kind of company you are. Just meet them where they are, meet their needs, and you will succeed in social media. I'm certain of it. And action step, follow Debi's affiliate link. I'm going to do that right after the video's over. So, you know, some people have an issue with affiliates, but you know, we all deserve to make a living. We all deserve to be compensated for our work, and Debbie does too. She works hard to put these things together. So, you know, so please follow through on her affiliate link and sign up for HOA Mastery.
John, thank you so much. I really, really, really appreciate that. And I think that we are all kind of ringing the same bell. Tracy, you know, you talk about know your customer. John, you and I have, you know, well, a group of us have been talking about customer persona. Meet them where they are. It's so, so important. It's what Heather's doing by creating this very niche community, because she knows what her, you know, her ideal client base looks like, and she's creating it for them. And Heather, I'm just going to ask you then too, if you would like to leave us with, you know, some parting words, some parting wisdom, because you always have plenty.
Oh yeah, I've got plenty of wisdom. Anyway, I think my takeaway, I wrote it down, it was find your best use. You can listen to all the advice out there. It's going to give you maybe what you need, but really what you need to do is, like John said, find your best use. That was my takeaway. And my call to action is to follow Debbie's link.
Okay, and as Heather often says, the check's in the mail. All right, with that, this was a wonderful conversation. I'm looking forward already to re-listening and doing the timestamps for it. Thank you again, everyone who was in the panel. And Heather, for your wonderful technical expertise. By the way, Heather is also a Hangout. Thank you. Heather is also a Hangout Mastery member. She and I have been learning together. I think she started maybe 3 months before I got started. So she's, I trusted her with all of my technical challenges that I'm experiencing right now. And I think we pulled it off, Heather. So thanks so much for being there to do it exactly the way it needed to be done. We'll just say goodbye then, and before we go, I want to let you know our next it's sponsored by Webolutions. It's a meetup the third Friday of every month here in the Denver area, and the subject of our next meetup on Friday, April 18th is social media's role in driving customer referrals. The Tuesday before that, April 15th, I will put together an HOA so that we can start getting our heads around the idea of customer referrals and how they play a part in our strategies, and how social media might also play a role. So that's it for this week's show. We'll see you in a few weeks. Thanks for being here.